Hi and welcome to another Repaint video. I'm Hannah from Hoodles and I'm so excited to share this project with you. This is the 5th repaint in my Monopoly series. I'm planning another series already, although I have 2 left on this one. Being halfway to another project before finishing the current one, it's a common thing for me and I bet it's a standard thing for a lot of you guys too. With that being said, subscribe for future projects or don't. I'm glad you found this video anyway. This repaint is based on the iron. It sounds super boring, but turned out rather lit. I got to do some soldering and use lead, so I was a pretty happy camper for a while there. Then I tried some neon effect painting, which I learned from an old classmate who became a makeup artist. Unfortunately, I can't for my life remember her name, which is embarrassing. If I do remember, I'll add her info in the description. Hope is low. Next and second to last is the cannon, combined with the sweet Lolita theme, so prepare for pink stuff, frills and weapons. I used LED and boy I love her dress. I'm a fan of hexagons, which kind of shows. I start by heating the head with a blow dryer, then I gently tug it off, and it's not until now that I understand her name. That's hilarious and fitting. Anyway, I cut off the hair and then scrape the rest out with a flat screwdriver. Then I cut the head open instead of pulling the hair through the neck hole to save some aches and pains. I'll end up gluing the hair and everything, so no need to make it tougher than necessary. Then I remove the paint with pure acetone, creating a clean canvas to work on. It's pretty poetic. After a coat of MSC I can start on the Faceup. I sketch the outlines and create the base. I decided on red irises on this little one since she'll be a cyborg character created by Doc Martens. It's a long story, we'll get to that. To create the neon effect I make a base of green with a lot of pastels. Then I blush the lips, nose, cheeks and forehead pink before working on some lashes. Second layer, I start with some light green acrylics to paint on top of the green pastels. This makes it look a little bit like it's glowing. Then I went back with some white acrylics in the middle before working on blushing and lines. This one is not getting freckles since she is made out of metal, but well, she gets blushing, so it's a bit of a contradiction, but I think it's okay. I shade inside the eyes with blue pastels before adding some smoky eyes and eyebrows. Then some yellow pastels before the third layer. On this layer I work more on, well, everything. Nothing new, so I'm keeping this short. Fourth layer, time for some Army Painter acrylics. I use black because I forgot to use dark grey instead, but it made a nice base for the white parts of the lashes. Then I did this. It looked awful, so I redid it. Oh my god, that's my puppy, she's sleeping. She's dreaming. Then, some white dots later, the face-up is finished. As you can see, it's pretty shiny. It might be due to the weather, but I added a Liquitex matte varnish layer with my airbrush to remove the gloss. Then I painted the headphones so I could add cables later. I forgot to show how I did that, but I just glued them into the holes. With the head finished, I can do some work on the body. First, I buff it with sandpaper, scrape some edges and scrape off the metal tag thing. Then I deepen the markings with my Dremel before drilling holes for the wires. This is a super expensive 2-part fast curing silicone mold thing. I take 2 equal parts of the white and blue, mix them and then cast them over a gem. I will use it later. This is what I'll use. 2 lead, 1 resistor, some shrinking cord, and this ultra cute miniature electronic component thing. I won't be using the switch, but isn't this the cutest? This is the master plan. It's not a good wiring diagram, but it's the thought that matters, and as long as I understand it, it's fine. This meant it needed a third hole, then I pulled the wires through. I created a little hook out of metal wire to fish it out through the body. I also used my phone light to glow through the body, super tricky. And then I stripped the end of the cables and solder according to my unprofessional wiring diagram. Then I try it out, and it works! I sand the lead attached to the chest, then use green UV resin to fix the ornament. I had to do it in layers since the mold isn't transparent, but it worked nicely. Before attaching it completely, I give the chest some green UV resin details. It's supposed to be glow in the dark, but it's not. I am slightly disappointed. I went back and forward painting the body since it's so detailed. I found new things every time I went back to this project. Here I'm blushing the body to match the head, by the way. Then on to some more neon glow painting. Finally, I can reattach the head. I made 4 incisions in this one and cut the neck peg to make it easier. Please pretend you can't see the skirt. The second lead will be on her forehead at the hairline, so I cut a hole and pulled the lead through. So this is how it looks right now. This time I used alpaca fibers for the hair. It's the softest thing ever, perfect for dolls. I clean it and make wefts out of it, basically the same procedure as with acrylic yarn. The fibers I bought a while ago from a farm in the south of Sweden with Suri alpacas, and yeah. Then, after gluing all the hair, I make the second green UV resin gem. I also added a plug at this stage. It kind of looked like it's a tail. I stripped the 2 cords and attached them by screwing back the pins. I wanted to give her 2 water tanks, you know, for steam and such, so I took the end of 2 used pipettes and then I filled them with this 2-part clear resin, slightly dyed blue. Before curing, I taped the tubes on the doll so the water level would be somewhat correct according to the doll's posture. After curing 24 hours, I glued a harness onto the tubes. I didn't have a plan, I just glued and tried out and tested and glued, but it turned out pretty cool in the end. I glued some glitter around the outlets and well, that was that. They're rather hidden with all the hair, so it's like a secret accessory. Then I added more cables on the legs, because it made no sense for a robot to have shoes, but the legs looked boring, so I drilled holes and used the same UV resin as before and attached them. Over to the skirt. I made a circle skirt out of transparent fabric and some silver glitter paper, but it looked a bit empty, so I added some electrical cords. I sanded them a little bit before gluing them on. In the end, it kind of looked like a jellyfish. I procrastinated this part, to be honest, making a stand, because I wasn't sure how to do it. I ended up making a cardboard replica of the battery holder, then I taped and then attached to the bottom of the mold. Then I mixed this amazing casting resin and poured it into the mold. Unfortunately, age has created yellowing in the resin, which shows yellow spots in the bottom. But, you know, it's okay since it doesn't affect the quality. Plus, I'll add a fabric cover disc at the bottom, so, you know, it won't show. While that cures, I cut out the Monopoly playboard and then seal it with glue. I used too little glue, or should have done 2 layers, because it got spots from the resin. After the top had dried and the white resin cured, I glued the board onto the resin. Then I drill a hole for the wire and glue it. Here you can see that I also glued some cords onto the board, you know, just for decoration. Then I poured a mixed 2-part clear resin, added some green dye and finished with many iridescent foil pieces. Here you can see the spots created by the resin. After adding the foil, it doesn't show though. It looks maybe a little bit like shadows, which was fine. After 24 hours, I demold and cut the edges. Here you can see the yellow spots. After cutting and sanding, I add another layer of resin to smoothen it out, then I cover it to protect it from dust and wait another 24 hours. Now I can work at the battery holder and getting the electrical outlet in place. First I use my Dremel and pliers to get the cardboard replica out. Then I mark out where to put the outlet before drilling a hole straight through the stand. I make a cable canal with my Dremel, then do some measuring and cutting off the cord. It fits pretty nicely. Let's glue the cords. Making the soft fabric cover disc was a hassle, but it worked nicely, making the fit snugger. Finally, I glued a ribbon onto the battery holder to get it out. It really stuck that well. Now I can cut and bend the wire into a saddle shape. I use this other stand to get an idea. I can't talk. To get an idea about the form, then I try it out, bend it, and I try it out again. My doll doesn't have the same center of gravity as a standard Monster High doll, so it just takes a lot of trial and error. Some gloss on the lips later and she's finished. She's a cyborg, created by Doc Martens as a companion. She doesn't have a heart. She's very, unsympathetic and analytical. She acts on reason rather than feelings. This can sometimes be necessary, but it's not always appreciated, especially by the Thimble, who is a very free spirit. She's also an enemy of rich Aunt Pennybags who scams people out of money. I am dealing with personal struggles at the moment. I will continue creating, but definitely not in the same pace. Before this becomes super depressing, I have been invited to an art gallery show. It's amazing, so yay! So this is what I started with, and this is the result. I'm still working on a proper name for her. I'm thinking Effie, since she's based on the iron token, but the chemical symbol for the element iron is Fe, so yeah, why not? I hope you enjoyed watching the process. Thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day. Until next time, bye!